taking care of animals. It's just how it is. Other states, other cities do a better job than Louisiana and New Orleans. We've got to up our game. In the meantime, Jeff Dorson and the Humane Society of Louisiana is trying to bridge that gap. Every May, we have our annual Humane May fundraiser where we try to raise $10,000 in the month of May for the Humane Society of Louisiana. Please go to their website right now and donate just a little something. Maybe it's not usually what you do. Do $5 or $10. I promise you it's going to go towards saving an animal. That's the only way they can do it, with our donations. HumaneLA.org is the website. HumaneLA.org. You'll see me laying on the sofa under a blanket with Blue Boy. Click on that. And then click on the link to donate. HumaneLA.org is the website. It's already May 19th. Under $2,000 raised so far. So we've got like $8,000 to go. And really after today, only 9 more shows. May 31st, the end of the month's a week from this Saturday. So we've got the rest of this week and then 5 shows next week, and that's it. So please go to the website right now and donate, HumaneLA.org. Before we get into the jailbreak, 7 still at large. Councilman, I hate to even say all that, just a man who loved New Orleans. Loved New Orleans. And he was a councilman at one time. He owned Joe Bank locations with a partner or two that they were the only Joe Bank franchisees in the whole chain. Joe Bank, the major company, owned all their stores except these. Arus Chris in Asheville, North Carolina. Just sad. Jay Batt passing away in his sleep, just 64 years old. No, husband, father, friend. Now, I've known the Batt family, grew up in the same neighborhood right nearby. They were probably a block from the lakefront. We were, a little closer towards, I guess, Leon C. Simon or old Robert E. Lee, now Alan Tucson, appropriately named. We were right in that area. Brian Batt, his brother, the actor, store owner, another native New Orleanian back in the city the last decade or so, loves the city as well. No, it's just sad. Jay Batt's just 64 years old. Very civic-minded. Loves New Orleans. Loves Louisiana. No, just recently poured hundreds of thousands of dollars into the downtown Joe Bank location to flood-proof the store. And about 6-8 months after that, abandoned that location. Ended up moving from Orleans Parish right across the parish line into Jefferson Parish. Loved New Orleans and never wanted to abandon it, but both business and home, not abandoned New Orleans, but moved right across the 17th Street Canal, kept open a Metairie store, closed the New Orleans store, moved across. When someone like Jay Batt's throwing his hands up and crossing over the 17th Street Canal, New Orleans has some major problems because that guy is New Orleans through and through. No, just shocked this morning when I heard about that. Thoughts and prayers to his family, daughters, friends, wife. Terrible. The jailbreak from last week, 10 escapes, still 7 at large. The award now, the reward money, I think, is up to $20,000, at least that amount if you combine all the different entities that have money available for tips leading to the arrest of any of these 7. Governor Landry on Fox called it a bounty. We have a bounty out for these guys. Now, they had to have had inside help or just tremendous malfeasance, which is also possible. And now they have to be having outside help. So you're going to have some sheriff, deputy, or employees at the jail fired. Some may be even prosecuted, indicted. You're going to have family or friends of these 10 escapees, or at least the 7 that are still at large. Family and friends that are going to be arrested and indicted and charged. And eventually, they're just going to start ticking off. 6 remain at large, 5. They got 2 today. It's 3 remain at large. And then there might be like 1 or 2 that are out there for a while and then got found in Memphis, Atlanta, Nashville, Dallas, Houston, Austin, Charlotte, something like that. But I think each and every one will be caught, and sooner than later. And then they'll be going to the big house, Angola. And a lot of these escapees are second-degree murder, either indicted, charged, found guilty already. They're going to be in there a long time. I guess you can call this bill the Hutson bill. House Bill 479. I'll fill you in on that. Sheriff Hutson, my God, not taking any responsibility. But blaming others, from the locks, which Marlon Gusman, the former sheriff, says this is like a state-of-the-art, jail. And then blaming politics. Sheriff Hutson saying the timing of the jailbreak with the sheriff's race, making it like political, like her political opponents having some influence over people in the jail. Let's allow a jailbreak. Let's be part of a group of 10 prisoners that are for them escaping. That's what Sheriff Hudson's basically saying. The former sheriff, Marlon Gusman, saying nothing wrong with the locks. Hutson says something wrong with the locks. And she's been complaining about it for years. When there's a surplus, she's sitting on like a $15 million reserve. Fix the locks if that's a legitimate concern or problem. And then actually blaming political opponents. The timing is strange with the sheriff's race. Wow, do your job. Take some responsibility. Cameras not working in that area. Civilian monitors, not sheriff deputies, and then taking a break for lunch, abandoning their posts like, you take a break for lunch, I'll stay and monitor. Just crazy incompetence going on with Sheriff Susan Hutson. The jailbreak under state attorney general investigation now. Thank goodness. Boy, but the sheriff just blaming others and just a lack of leadership when the what's hitting the fan. That's when, true character is revealed. When the what's hitting the fan, it's hitting it with 10 escapees. And the sheriff, first press conference, taking no questions. That's not a press conference. You might as well have just put out a statement, because that's all you did, made a statement and left. Second press conference a few hours later, 1 question for each member of the media. What's all that about? Jailbreak at like midnight, 12:30, early Friday. Sheriff doesn't find out till a bed check at 8:30. The bed check's not until 8:30. So they're out running around for 8 hours. They're gone. And then the sheriff just basically, I don't want to say it just such a crude way, but basically poops in her pants. And for 2 hours does absolutely nothing. From 8:30 to 10:30 doesn't notify the NOPD. Then finally does that. And then finally notifies the public 2.5 hours later at 11 a.m. The Hutson bill I mentioned, House Bill 479. Anytime, any jail in Louisiana, there's an escape. You got to notify the police, the victims, the media, the public within 10 minutes. 10 minutes. You think that would just be normal operating procedure?
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Some people think paint is paint. Well, it ain't. Paint ain't paint. At Helm Paint, we only sell Benjamin Moore because it's the best paint on the planet. In the end, you'll save time, effort, and money because Benjamin Moore paints cover beautifully in less coats. So the next time you pick up a brush, remember, big box, big mistake. Because paint ain't paint. To get the best, you gotta go to Helm. Let us steer you right. Helm Paint.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again, ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now. Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Uptown, Carrollton, Riverbend, Holly Grove, Gerttown, Gentilly, Lakefront, West Bank, Lakeview. It's Corey Johnson on the neutral ground, where New Orleans is heard.
Yeah, you're right. Corey Johnson back at you. Boy, so many sub-stories in this jailbreak. Day 4 of the jailbreak. National story. Go to CBS.com. Go to Fox News. Wherever you want to get your news, left, right, middle of the road, whatever. It's a national story, the jailbreak in New Orleans. And there are dozens and dozens of sub-stories beneath this, like Just learning 2 assistant district attorneys from New Orleans have fled the city with their families because they're concerned about these criminals taking revenge on them for prosecuting them, putting them in jail. 10 escaped, 3 have been caught, 7 still at large. Larger reward. No, had to have inside help, have to be getting outside help now. Law enforcement's been stressing family, friends, anyone that aids and abets, anyone that harbors these fugitives will be indicted, will be prosecuted, will go to jail, will be charged. Sheriff Hutson, a few state reps, I think, what was her state rep from Louisiana? Forget her name. Amy Freeman something. I forget. She's calling for Democrat, liberal Democrat, calling for Susan Hutson to resign. Susan Hutson should resign, but Susan Hutson's not going to resign because Susan Hutson's not about pride and I know I'm doing the right thing. It's a jailbreak under her watch. You know, in New Orleans, I often talk about the incompetence in this city and how important the Office of Inspector General is to do audits and investigations and reports on all these different city entities and agencies. Because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We just know it's corrupt. It's like Edwin Edwards is a crook. Got to go out. You know, can't wait for a flood or a big rain to realize the Sewage and Water Board might not be up to snuff. Can't wait for a 10-person jailbreak to realize this sheriff and the sheriff's department is not being run efficiently, effectively. I mean, how does this happen in 2025? A friend of mine asked me that just a little while ago. How in 2025, in a major North American city, with a modern jail, this isn't some like jail from like the 40s and it's antiquated. This thing's like 10 years old, less than 10 years old. State-of-the-art jail. No, so many questions like DA Jason Williams asked, how are these violent criminals on the first floor? They're supposed to be on like one of the highest floors in the jail. They're on the first floor, like the easiest floor to escape from, which you shouldn't really be able to escape from it, ever. Had to have inside help. Just incompetence. Boy, someone doing a fantastic job. Travers Mackle at Channel 6. Did you see his reporting? Did you see him questioning Sheriff Hutson? Do you owe the city an apology? How did you know this? Oh, the timeline. Why did you wait so long? All the questions that needed to be asked. I heard some reporter squeal out. I don't know who it was from. Hey, Travers is getting to ask all these questions. Just ask the question. Anyway, no, Travers holding Sheriff Susan Hutson accountable because she's not holding herself accountable, blaming others. Faulty locks. You run the jail. You have a $15 million surplus. Fix the locks. If that's reality, Marlon Gussman says there's nothing wrong with the locks. And now this is even worse. This is like the mayor, you know, saying she's female or black, and that's why the feds are coming after her. That's why she's being scrutinized so much, like injecting race to, you know, hide from the incompetence and corruption. Same thing with Susan Hutson, saying, wow, the timing of the jailbreak while there's a sheriff's race going on. Like her implying that her political opponents are part of this jailbreak. Not answering any questions, but boy, there's so many different angles. Let's let this investigation take place. No, thank God the investigation's taking place with Attorney General Morrell from Baton Rouge coming down to New Orleans. The hyper woke, loony left craziness that is New Orleans politics is being exposed big time. Big time. The mayor, Susan Hutson, just incompetent people in over the head. And worse than that, out for themselves, first and foremost, setting up friends and family out for themselves. And then worse, if there is like a political ideology, it's crazy, loony left, woke, nutty, insane. 766-9480 is how you dial us up. 766-9480. Love to hear from you. No, so many different angles. Jeff Landry, the governor's responding properly. Doing a lot of the right stuff and saying the right things, and said it was pretty funny right in front of MIA, missing in action, Junket Cantrell. 766-9480. Where are we heading, Mario, brother?
We got Bobby and Slidell wanting to talk about the jailbreak.
Oh, nice. Bobby and Slidell, what's happening, bro? How you doing, Bobby?
Corey?
Hey, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Awesome. Hey, love the show, man. I watched this lady get reelected. That's just and I'm not an Orleans Parish owner, but it's kind of what we do.
Oh no, there's going to be, there's crazy people defending her right now. I guarantee you that, no matter what. That's what the extremes do.
I got a 93-year-old grandmother who still swears Edwin Edwards cares about her.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of brainwashed folks, left, right, black, white, Republican, Democrat. They believe what they want to believe, what they hope is true. I mean, if you don't think the black community in New Orleans, a lot of folks, especially 50, 60 plus, just enamored with Mark Morial. They want to believe he was a successful mayor. They want to believe that the administration wasn't corrupt. They want to believe that he helped them out. You know what I mean? Just Edwin Edwards, your grandmother. Edwin Edwards was still alive. The state wouldn't have any problems. Just that crazy mentality. Bill Jefferson, Alario. It goes on and on and on. It's crazy. We're a broken state, a broken city. We're lagging behind the South, all our competitors, and these folks embrace the folks that brought us there. That's crazy. Broken.
Yeah, I was hoping it was dementia, but still hadn't been diagnosed.
Wow.
The other thing, I don't know if you've seen this, and this may be off the table, but there was the Trump budget came out and it calls for cuts to the Artemis and SLS program.
Yeah, no, I talked about that last week. It's like about a $25 billion NASA budget. It's going to be cut to about $19 billion, and they're phasing out the stuff at Michoud. When I get Michael Hecht on Friday from Greater New Orleans Inc., I'm definitely going to ask him about that. He didn't join us last week. He was out of town, but no, that's really concerning.
Yeah, that would stink. And honestly, man, it'll test the political fortitude of some of the Scalises and Kennedys, and maybe not Cassidy because he's got him out of favor with the Trump administration. But those two, especially, who are Trump allies, that they can see what kind of political weight they can swing. But I'll be looking forward to that interview, Corey. Have a good one, man.
You too. Thanks so much. Appreciate the phone call, Bobby. Bobby over there in Slidell. You can dial us up 766-9480. 766-9480. Travers Mackle will join us in an hour. Straight down 5:30. Maybe a little after 5:30, 5:32. Got to give him time to get off the set. He did a great job. Go to WDSU's website. Go to the WDSU on Twitter, X, whatever, and check out Travers Mackle grilling Sheriff Susan Hutson. And not, I always say this. You don't go after people. You don't have some, vindictive nature where you're attacking, and you don't kiss people's rear end. You just do your journalistic job. And Travers Mackle did his job. Cool, collected, calm, asking the right questions, the exact questions the public wants to know. I mean, it is nauseating when, you get these softball pitches. I mentioned this. Sheriff Susan Hutson has hired a talk radio show host from like the Black AM station in New Orleans, a former FM DJ that does talk. All he does is bring on the mayor and sheriff about once a quarter and kisses their rear end. the mayor, and then he'll have the sheriff on, and just, it is softball pitch. It is embarrassing. Just somebody with a mic in front of them just selling out completely. It's just, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse. And then just softball questions. And then you're sitting there, hey, ask this. This is what we're concerned about. We don't care about, your yuck fest and everybody's happy and laughing. We have concerns. Ask them about this. That's what Travers Mackle did and did his job. He's going to join us in an hour to talk about all of this. He's ground zero right there with the sheriff. They broke the story. Channel 6 got a tip. They broke the story. They called right away. Right when they got the tip, like 9:53, 9:55, they're calling the sheriff and the NOPD about the jailbreak. An hour plus later, the sheriff's denying anything happened at Channel 6. Stick around. We're coming right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex, there's something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com. Outdoor dining, Middle Eastern cuisine, under the oak trees, Lebanon's Cafe, some of the city's finest lamb chops and shish kebab, Carrollton at Jeanette by the streetcar barn, Lebanon's Cafe.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live. We live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. It's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again, ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now. Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right. Helm Paint.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance. maintenance. Total maintenance, TM-AC.com, your cool spots. Total maintenance, TM-AC.com, your cool spots.
As New Orleans as the mighty Mississippi, Corey Johnson.
The old miss, the old man.
On 93.9 FM and 107.9 FM.
Deep River, my home is over Jordan.
Every time I get this guy on the program, and it's not that often, but every now and then, all I can think about is the down ramp of I-610 at Franklin Avenue, and a few days after Katrina, and I'm launching a boat and coming out of the muck in Gentilly, rescuing people and helping people, is Sheriff Marlon Gussman. And I'll never forget him coming off the boat and us talking for a second, and I was like, what is that? And Marlon Gussman was like, that's a Jack Crevalle. That's like a fish from the Gulf, and it's all the way inland. And we're staring at this massive fish sitting on the down ramp on the I-610 right after Katrina. Marlon, how are you, man?
I'm good, Corey. That was some tough times, but I'm glad we're better. It looks like we're going through a period right now that's kind of rough.
Yeah, this is craziness. Have you ever seen anything? First off, what were you sheriff for, like 16, 17 years? How many years were you sheriff?
Almost 18 years.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like this in your life?
Nothing like this. You know, it's, look, we were in some tough positions, you know, with these temporary buildings we had after Katrina. You know, we started from at the train station, and then from there we went back and got into some buildings, some temporary buildings. But this building is it's state of the art. You know, it's got 900 cameras, security systems, if they're being used, you know, that are very powerful. And unfortunately, I'm getting information that they just weren't used, and in some cases turned off, which is, you know, unbelievable to me.
That's cameras and the security system?
Well, you know, obviously they did have some cameras working, and the problem there was that nobody was watching them. But I understand, and again, I don't know until all of the investigation comes out. And of course, the main thing is to get these guys back in jail where they belong. But from what I'm hearing is that, you know, they didn't renew the security electronics contractor, and then also that they had turned off some of the alarms.
Wow.
You know, can't really count on an alarm system if it's not on.
What would be the reasoning not to renew the security contractor, you think?
I'm puzzled, baffled. I just don't understand that. You know, there are only a couple of companies nationwide that do that. This is a nationwide company. And, you know, when you go into a jail like this, you don't go in there with keys. You know, it's all controlled by central control, opening doors, and you press the button, they need to look at you on camera before they let you through. And if a door opens, and it sends an alarm to them to get it closed. You know, if a door stays open for too long, that's an alarm. So a lot of questions here. And I think, as they say, somebody's got a lot of explaining to do.
Former Sheriff Marlon Gussman's with us for a few minutes on the program. This prison's what? Circa 2016, less than a decade old, state of the art?
Less than a year. 2015, you know, less than that. And, but look, it's like anything else. You got to keep it updated. And I was telling somebody about how, you know, cell phones have changed so much. I don't have the same cell phone I had back in 2015, and not even the same TV. Yeah, that's my personal stuff.
Right.
So, you know, you got to keep it up to date. You got to have, you know, management on it.
And you think some things at the jail were not kept up with this sheriff?
I mean, and that's what it sounds like, or it sounds like, you know, they either turned them off or they just weren't being used. It's hard to understand this.
What about the sheriff blaming these faulty locks?
Oh, look, if the locks were faulty and they're not, it shouldn't have taken her 3.5 years or 3 years to figure that out. Look, and there are also, Corey, there are parts of the jail that are more suited for the high security, violent inmates.
Yeah.
But as somebody was telling me the other day, in fact, my architect said, look, if you leave somebody with, alone long enough with the tools, they can do anything. And they were on the first floor. They should not have been on the first floor.
Should have been on a higher floor, right?
Should have been on the second floor or the third floor. That's where the high security cells are, and that's where they should have been.
Did you have civilian monitors at the jail? Is that normal procedure?
I did. I did have. They did not have, the contact with the inmates. You have to be a, deputy to do that. But oh yes, we had them, and but they can't leave and go to lunch without having somebody relieve them.
Yeah.
Even if it's central control, you call central control and say, "Look, I have to, do something. Please watch the pod while until I get back." But that didn't happen, I guess.
In your opinion, did these inmates have to have inside help, people within the jail itself, to help them get out?
I hate to speculate on things like that. What I can say, though, is that there was either a lot of neglect or a total failure of all the systems, and maybe both.
Is an 8:30 bed check routine? It seems like at a jail it should be like 5:36 in the morning.
Look, breakfast is served around 5:30, and shift change comes on at 7. There should have been checks throughout the night, and then there also should have been a check at shift change. But throughout the night they should have known it. But seems like a lot of things broke down and didn't happen.
I'm just kind of blown away by the whole thing, and it's just shocking to me. But the bed check at 10:30, I think, is when they did it at night, and then it wasn't until 8:30 the next morning. You're saying in between 10:30 at night and 8:30 the next morning, there should have been several bed checks?
Sure. They you walk, we have a tour watch system where, the deputy has to walk around and press a button to, ensure that they're making and looking into all of the cells. And, certainly if they had done that, then they would have seen, the problem that happened in one cell, and they would have seen other cells where there wasn't anybody in there. So lockdown for night is usually about 10:30, unless something big is going on. We used to let them stay up for the NBA championships, if they were good. But to that long of a period without checking is really unacceptable.
Former Sheriff Marlon Gustman's with us for a few minutes. When you see the video, but that everybody's seen, do you recognize that part of the jail, that gate or door that the inmates tugging on, and where they are in the jail and where they would have to go to get to that loading dock area?
Sure. They're tugging on a cell door that was closed, and look, you can't. They were making noise, and obviously nobody was there to hear it. But once they're in there, for them to get into the pipe chase, you can't just take those toilets off the wall. They're anchored by 6 bolts into a 4 or 5 inch concrete wall. It just doesn't add up to me, and I'll be anxious to hear just how all of that went down. But it didn't have anything to do with faulty locks or the construction. That's prefabricated concrete cells and reinforced by rebar. And that rebar is not the kind you can bend. This is the kind that, somebody needed some tool to cut. So I'm just, I think we have a lot of answers that we have to get before we can start saying, hey, this is what actually happened.
The rebar you're talking about in the wall that was exposed, and then it's all of a sudden missing, and they went through that hole. They had to have sawed or somehow cut through to remove that, essentially like a cell, like bars within the wall.
Right. I mean, that's the way, I saw them making the prefabricated concrete cells, and, the way they make it is they first have this rebar, and then they pour the cement around it in a mold. So yeah, I mean, I can't. I think they had to have some tool, something to cut through the rebar. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, and it crisscrossed almost like a cage. They had to cut it out to get through that hole. Right. Hey, the sheriff saying she finds it peculiar that this happened during a political campaign while a sheriff's race is going on. How ridiculous do you find that?
Is that the campaign, although a couple of people have announced, the campaign hasn't started yet, but that's another crazy, and that's a blame game, or finger pointing. That doesn't add up. That doesn't make any sense. I know, I don't think any of the people that have announced so far, would want to risk, their family and friends to something like this. But it's just crazy to say stuff like that. But that's the kind of person I guess we're dealing with.
Hey, lastly, I mean, you were sheriff for 17 years. This was kind of your place. We've seen a couple of legislators call for Sheriff Hutson to resign. Should she resign over this?
Well, look, that's not my place, and the voters make that decision, in my opinion.
Yep. No shot you're running again?
We'll see.
Wow. You might run for sheriff.
We'll see.
Marlon, a pleasure. Thank you so much, especially on short notice.
All right, Corey, keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Get these guys back as quick as we can.
Yeah, no doubt. 7 still at large. Thanks again, Marlon.
Thank you.
That's former Sheriff Marlon Gussman joining us on the program. Corey Johnson with you on a Monday, coming right back.
People think paint is paint. Well, it ain't. Paint ain't paint. At Helm Paint, we only sell Benjamin Moore because it's the best paint on the planet. In the end, you'll save time, effort, and money because Benjamin Moore paints cover beautifully in less coats. So the next time you pick up a brush, remember, big box, big mistake. Because paint ain't paint. To get the best, you gotta go to Helm. Let us steer you right. Helm Paint.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on Magazine, as unique as you.
When USA Today ranked the 10 best must-visit New Orleans restaurants for travelers, Mid-City's own Katie's made the list. USA Today says Scott Craig is chef-owner at Katie's, a much-loved Creole Italian eatery that draws armies of regulars for lunch, brunch, and dinner. A neighborhood spot where locals congregate and New Orleans-style hospitality rules. Indeed it does. Katie's in Mid-City.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day. by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com. Young's Dry Cleaning with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Interlocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Interlocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Interlocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Not a politician or part of a political machine. Corey Johnson.
I propose that I use what's left of the town treasury to move to a more prosperous town and run for mayor.
In Metro New Orleans on 93.9 FM and 107.9 FM.
Jailbreak day 4, 7 still at large. I don't even know where to start, seriously. Just the fact that it happens at 12 at night, the no overnight bed checks. Marlon Gusman said they would be doing that all throughout the night. 5:30 is breakfast. Why till 8:30? Do they not find out? Then sitting on it for 2 hours, some cameras not working, civilian monitors having a lunch break, violent criminals on the first floor of the jail, not the second or third. I mean, God, go on and on and on. The sheriff blaming locks, blaming political opponents, that it's happens to be during a sheriff's race. Seriously, I don't know where to start. Raphael Goyeneche joins us for a few minutes. Maybe he can make some sense of this. How are you, Raphael?
Hey, don't mislead your audience. I can't make any sense of this, and I'm not that good. Yeah.
This is mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is a calamity of errors, and there is no justification or excuse for it. This is plain old malfeasance. This is negligence at best. So, but there are a number of other factors that contributed to all of this, and there's plenty of blame to be shared. Priority one has to be finding the 7 remaining inmates that escaped. So there will be, I think, ample time to conduct a complete review. There'll be at least 2 reviews conducted, one by the sheriff's office and one by an external agency that apparently appears to be the Attorney General's office. So I think it's critically important that somebody other than the sheriff's office conduct an independent review. In addition, the sheriff's office, of course, has the right and obligation to, I think, conduct their own review of this. But because of all of the missteps by the sheriff's office over the last 4 years, I really think that there has to be an external agency conducting a complete review of the steps that led up to this. And I think that based on the governor's press conference yesterday, I believe it'll be the Attorney General's office.
Hey, Raphael, you said malfeasance, incompetence at the very least. And I agree with that statement. That would be best case scenario. It appears there's, and it's an assumption on my part and a lot of people's part, you almost have to feel there was inside help for these prisoners to escape.
Well, that's what, logic would say.
Right.
But you can't rule out just gross incompetence.
Right.
So, that's where I think it's critically important that an external agency conduct the investigation. So, so we heard some claims by the sheriff that cameras weren't operational and weren't working and locks weren't working and things like that. But we know that at least 3 separate banks of cameras were working because we saw video of the inmates trying to force open the door. So the door was locked, and there was video of that. And then we saw the inmates after they cleared the removed toilet facility. You saw them jumping out of that area of the jail there, beginning their escape. So they had left the pod, entered into the other side of the wall from that toilet that had been removed from the wall, and now they're running. And then the third set of cameras that we saw were operational were the ones of the outside of the facility where the inmates were scaling the wall and running across the interstate. So those cameras were all operational. With the staffing deficiencies, it's critically important that, those cameras be monitored, particularly if a guard is leaving their area to go to lunch or have a meal. So when someone is, the deputy that was on the pod has to step out, there should be protocols in place that someone is going to be monitoring what's happening. Additionally, that building is only, about a dozen years old. I don't know what type of technology they have, but there needs to be automatic notifications that are issued to the control area. So even if somebody's eyes are away from the screens, if, a vacant room like the area where the inmates had cleared the wall and were running towards, a door, that should have triggered an automatic notification in some control booth somewhere in that facility that you had movement in a room that was supposed to be locked for the night.
Yeah, simple motion detectors.
Exactly. I mean, so most people have that in their homes.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure the jail does.
This is a correctional facility housing some of the most dangerous offenders in the state of Louisiana. So I can't imagine that facility doesn't have that. But so there was a calamity of errors. Apparently, the reinforced steel bars that were there could not have been removed with hand saws. They needed power equipment.
Wow.
And when you're cutting through that type of equipment, it makes a lot of noise.
Wow.
So Blue is telling me it's time for a break.
Yeah. Raphael, I really appreciate you joining me. That's an incredible final point about probably power tools needed. Unbelievable. Metrocrime.org's the website. Raphael, thank you very much.
Anytime, Corey. Take care.
That's Raphael Goyeneche. Gotta love that. Coming right back, New Orleans.
On TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube. On radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM. WSLA New Orleans.
It's 5 p.m.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. My Sittu, that's Arabic for grandmother, used to make the best football kibbe. You can experience kibbe just like my grandmother used to make, and so many other Middle Eastern favorites on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see, what about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamar team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamar Ford. We became #1 for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again, ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now. Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa. And now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville. The Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live. We live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love. More. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com. Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you. 5 o'clock power hour on a Monday afternoon. 89 degrees. Feels like 89. It's a little warm out there. Oh, wow. It went down to 88. Excuse me. Uh-oh. Unbelievable. It was 89. Feels like 89 when we started the show. And because it's New Orleans, it's now gone down to 88, but feels like 90. The feels like's gone up. The temperature's gone down. Anyway, not too bad. It's when you get that feels like 95, feels like 98, feels like 100, that's when it's just a scorcher. I mean, it ain't cool and comfortable out there. It's hot, but it's not brutal. You can still kind of function out there, sort of, kind of, maybe. Sort of, kind of, maybe. Hey, our Humane May fundraiser continues. Please go to the website, humanela.org, and donate. Let's save some animals, cats and dogs, horses, humanela.org. It's May 19th. Only 9 more shows left in the year. We've only raised about $2,000. We've got like $8,000 to go. We got to raise like $1,000 a day. Like almost $1,000 a day. Please donate. humanela.org. $10, $20. It'll go a long way. humanela.org. Before we get into jailbreak day 4, 7 still at large. A man who loved New Orleans and served New Orleans, Jay Batt, passing away in his sleep, just 64 years old. Former councilman, owned some Joe Bank clothing stores, a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in North Carolina. Just a sad story. Really is. He's a realtor, husband, father, friend. Now, I've known the Bat family for my entire life. Brian, his brother, Jay. Just shocking. No, and civic-minded. When he was a councilman, he didn't do it for power or, if anything, it took away from his everyday business. Arguably took money out of his pocket, not the other way around. But he was civic-minded. He loved the city. Shocking. Shocking. Jay Batt passing away at just 64 years old. Jailbreak, 10 escape, 7 still at large. Jeff Landry on Fox said there's a bounty out for me. There is. There's a reward, $20,000. I don't know if you call it a bounty, but anyway, he's right. Jeff Landry's done most of the right thing. I think he's responding properly. Slams New Orleans woke criminal justice system. And doing it right in front of mostly missing in action Junket Cantrell. That's a good thing. She's not active and saying much because she's as incompetent as Sheriff Susan Hutson, who pretty much has taken no responsibility for this. She's the sheriff. It's her jail. 10 inmates escape, and some of the most violent, and so many mistakes. It's too many to name. They're on the first floor instead of the second or third floor. No cameras working. The people monitoring the cameras that were working take a break, and no one's monitoring anything. The inmates were making noise, running around the jail, no motion detectors. Sheriff Hutson says, faulty locks are the problem. Faulty locks. There are no keys. This is all electronics. It's push a button from a main area and doors open, doors stay shut. Broken locks. And then even the sheriff went to say that it's a sheriff's race. This could be politically motivated. Like some of her opponents were collaborating in cahoots with other sheriff deputies or employees of the sheriff department and the criminals, allowing this to happen to make Sheriff Hutson look bad. That's what she's implying. Unbelievable. Just no shame. Take some responsibility. You're the sheriff, but the opposite. The jailbreak happens about 12:30 at night. No overnight bed checks. The first one is at 8:30 in the morning. Marlon Gusman just joined us. He said there'd be overnight bed checks all night. There'd be breakfast at 5:30. 8:30 is when they find out, 8 hours later. And then Sheriff Hutson kind of poops in her pants and for 2 hours does nothing. And then finally at 10:30 notifies the NOPD. 2 hours after she finds out, 8 hours after they're gone. And then at 11 a.m., everyone else, the public, is notified by the sheriff. Because of her incompetence, there's a bill, House Bill 479, that Mandy Landry, a Democrat from New Orleans, put out there for victims' rights. State Rep Debbie Villio from right next door in Jefferson Parish, a Republican, added on to Landry's bill, and Landry's all for it. So this is bipartisan, and they're all on the same page. I'm calling it the Hutson bill, the Sheriff Susan Hutson bill. It basically says any state jail, any jail in Louisiana, if there's an escape, 1 prisoner, 2 prisoners, 10, the jail must notify the police, the victims, the media, the public within 10 minutes of the escape. Travers Mackle is going to join us in about 20 minutes. He was excellent on Friday grilling Sheriff Susan Hutson. They broke the story. They got a tip at 9:53 that there was a jailbreak. At 9:55, 2 minutes later, these journalists at Channel 6 are calling the NOPD and the sheriff to get comments on the jailbreak. By the way, the sheriff's department denies there was a jailbreak. So Channel 6 gets the news at 9:53. At 9:55, 120 seconds later, they're dialing up the sheriff's department. Sheriff gets the news at 8:30. 2 hours later, she calls the NOPD finally. It's mind-blowing. Just the incompetence, the malfeasance. Absolutely terrible. And just numerous things. Not like one or two. Like the perfect storm of incompetence to allow 10 violent criminals to escape across the I-10, no less. I mean, that's part of the investigation. Was New Orleans 311 service working, or 911 service working, I should say? I've called 911 in New Orleans before, and you go to a recording. And I'm just like, well, okay. I'm calling because there's a wreck on the interstate, and the car's in a lane, and it's by a curve. It's dangerous. Leave a message, and all of a sudden I get called back like 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, after the fact. Did someone call and say, I'm on the I-10 right now. It's about 12:30, 1 in the morning, and I'm seeing a bunch of dudes in orange jumpsuits coming over the barbed wire fence over a blanket and running across the I-10 right now? No, you don't think that call went down? So many dropped balls. And 7 of these violent criminals, many of them murder charges at large. There's going to most likely be at least heads rolling, like sheriff department employees of the sheriff department fired, deputies fired, maybe some indicted if there's, inside help. And then there's going to be family members and friends that are helping right now, outside help, that are helping these 7 stay at large. And they're going to be found out, and they're going to be charged and indicted and go to jail. And these 7 will be found, and they're going to do hard time in an inescapable place, Angola. No, when you have this broken city, New Orleans, it's like saying Edwin Edwards is a criminal. You got to do the investigation and find out that he's a criminal. And then you got the specific facts. We know the broad thing. We know New Orleans is broken, its incompetence. But we need like a heavy rain to show, to expose the Sewage and Water Board. And we need 10 inmates escaping to expose the incompetent sheriff's department in the jail. That's how it works. So, no, that's why I'm always praising Raphael Goyeneche, Metropolitan Crime Commission. Travers Mackle is going to join us in a few minutes. These investigative reporters like Lee Zurich and David Hammer. And then IG Ed Michel doing these investigations, audits, looking in all these broken city entities where a lot of the time it's incompetence. Sometimes it's theft, criminal behavior. Thank God for them. Hey, Latrim, the global manufacturing giant, is hiring. Latrim.com's the website. Latrim spelled Laitrim. TRAM, Latrim.com. They have a full listing of positions available right now. North Shore folks, they have an I-12 facility. You don't have to come to the South Shore. East Bankers, West Bankers, about 1,400 employed in Elmwood under the UEP Long Bridge. Latrim's got a job, I should say a career for you. Go to Latrim.com for a full listing of positions available. Latrim.com. Corey Johnson with you, coming right back.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day. By river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Some people think paint is paint. Well, it ain't. Paint ain't paint. At Helm Paint, we only sell Benjamin Moore because it's the best paint on the planet. In the end, you'll save time, effort, and money because Benjamin Moore paints cover beautifully in less coats. So the next time you pick up a brush, remember, big box, big mistake. Because paint ain't paint. To get the best, you gotta go to Helm. Let us steer you right.
Helm Paint.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
Scott Craig of Katie's Restaurant.
All of my ingredients are fresh. Nothing comes out of a can here. Nothing. All of our seafood is Louisiana. All of our vegetables are Louisiana vegetables. It's a neighborhood restaurant.
Katie's in Mid-City. You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson, where the grass hasn't been cut in weeks or months. There's a lot of trash and garbage on the neutral ground, maybe even a person or two taking a nap. And oh, someone didn't pick up the dog.
Oh, boy. That was a close one. 766-9480 is how you dial us up. Mario Brothers, a.k.a. Latinx at the controls. 766-9480. Travers Mackle, who did a hell of a job on Friday, just doing his job, grilling the sheriff with legitimate questions. He wasn't attacking her, and he wasn't playing the, smooching game either. Just asking legitimate questions, doing the journalistic thing. It's not fun, but it's necessary. Travers is going to join us in about 10 minutes. Talk more about this. Yeah, day 4 of the jailbreak. 3 captured, 7 still at large. They could be anywhere. I think they're going to, pick up a few today, tomorrow, might be 1 or 2 at a time. Who knows? And then you're going to have like 2 or 3 that just remain maybe for a week or longer. And then they're going to be found in like Atlanta or Dallas or Houston, something like that. 766-9480. There's a Hutson bill, as I'm calling it. House Bill 479 got something tacked on to it today. Any jail in Louisiana, if there's an escape, within 10 minutes of the escape, the jailers need to notify the police, the victims, the media, the public. Took 2.5 hours for incompetent Sheriff Susan Hutson to inform the public. 2 hours to inform the NOPD. And because Susan Hutson doesn't know how to run a jail, there were no overnight bed checks. 10:30 and then 8:30. I mean, that's a 10-hour gap. No motion detectors, lots of cameras not working, blaming everybody but herself, taking no responsibility, no accountability. The locks on the gates, on the doors don't work. I've been complaining about that. The timing of this is peculiar considering it's a sheriff's race, a political, race going on. Marlon Gussman joined us, the former sheriff, last hour and said, there's no race going on right now. Thought that was ridiculous. And then I asked him last question, you running for sheriff? He said he's thinking about it. He might run for sheriff. After this, I think you'd have a lot of people voting for Marlon Gussman. I caught a lot of flack. I had Ghassan Corbin on the show a few weeks ago before he left the Sewage and Water Board. And some people on Twitter were like, why didn't you ask about this and this? And stuff from years ago. Like it was a softball interview. I mean, what a softball interview was a parting interview. Guy's leaving. Now, that guy's going to be missed because he wasn't incompetent. He was competent. He did a lot. He moved the needle for the Sewage and Water Board forward. Now, I'm worried. I don't know anything about the guy from Philly. Going to have to learn about him. Is he going to keep moving the needle forward, or is he going to be like the last guy before Ghassan Corbin, the, Cedric Grant, the anointed political hack that knew nothing about the Sewage and Water Board? So, no, sometimes you're critical about stuff, and then something new comes along, you've changed to something else, and you're like, boy, I'll take the old thing in a second. A lot of folks are like, bring on Marlon Gussman. Wouldn't have had a 10 violent criminal jailbreak. No, Susan Hutson is just beyond incompetent. It's glaring. And when you have this kind of thing go down and all the crap with it, you're like, wow, this learning on the fly, just not doing a good job hiring friends, family, former roommates that were fired for theft. You're going to hire them, just all kind of crazy shenanigans. No accountability. The IG's office asking for just basic, fundamental, spending and things of that nature, and can't get it. Isn't available. Doesn't exist. No, just ready, fire, aim, shooting from the, seat of her pants, just winging it. No, and it's all being exposed now. Boy, so much going on. A ridiculous amount of stuff going on. The master plan for Lincoln Beach revealed, 4 phases. They're going to break ground, I guess, in like 6 months. About 6 months, the end of this year, early next year, and then open maybe 2 years from now, summer of 2027. It's unbelievable. It's going to take that long to get Lincoln Beach going. 2 years. At least they're moving the needle, I guess. We'll see. Former President Joe Biden diagnosed with prostate cancer. President Trump says, we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. LSU President William Tate leaving the post to take the same gig at Rutgers. 60 Minutes last night, if you saw it. So well produced. A segment, a piece on Louisiana's Cajun culture and Cajun music. It was very well done. You know, folks like the media, CBS, 60 Minutes, political agenda, blah, 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 leaning left, all that crap. This is apolitical. I often say this, like Fox should be called Fox Political News. MSNBC should be called MSNBC Political News or Political Talk. Because when a plane crashes, you don't run to Fox or MSNBC. You're going to go to like CBS. So 90+% of news is apolitical. Has nothing. Avalanche kills 300 in Italy. Has nothing to do with politics. But Fox is a lot of politics. MSNBC, a lot of politics. That's what gets ratings, especially when nothing's going on. But 60 Minutes for decades has done some documentary type stuff, just so well produced, so well done, world class, first class. And they did it again last night on Louisiana's Cajun culture, where you watch it and you're proud to be a Louisianian. You love this culture. Hey, beloved, classy Archie Manning, one of the Saints' all-time greats, 76 years old. There's a guy who loves New Orleans, 76 years old, Archie Manning. Just 12 years younger than Archie. Another guy that loved New Orleans and served New Orleans, Jay Batt, former councilman, passing away in his sleep at 64. His family says he was healthy, wasn't fine, wasn't sick. I know Jay was a little overweight and battled diabetes, but this is just tragic and sad. Way too young. Tragic and sad. Corey Johnson with you on a Monday afternoon. I told you a lot of stuff going on. In 5 minutes, Travers Mackle, less than 5 minutes, Travers Mackle's going to join us from Channel 6. Check out his Twitter. Check out the Channel 6 website. Just doing a great job. It was reposted all over Twitter. Grilling Sheriff Hutson on Friday, but not in a mean way, not attacking her at all, but aggressively doing his job, asking the questions, knowing he's going to get cut off. The press conference could end at any time. There was already a previous one where there were no questions allowed. Just a statement, wasn't even a press conference. Then there was a second one, I think, where she took a few questions, like one question from each media member. So Travers saw how the game was being played. He wanted to ask the necessary journalistic-based questions that the general public would want to know. He did a great job. It was reposted everywhere. So he's basically at ground zero. Travers Mackle is going to join us in a couple of minutes on the program. A Monday afternoon edition of the show. Hey, Young's Dry Cleaners, the best in the business. I don't say that lightly. Since 1940, 85 years of excellence. Tired of your dry cleaner? Want to experience the best? Young'sDryCleaning.com. Young'sDryCleaning.com. Corey Johnson with you on a Monday afternoon. Yeah, Travers Mackle is next. We'll talk more about the insanity, the 10 violent criminal jailbreak early Friday morning. 7 still at large. They've caught 3, 7 still at large. Hey, if you're watching on TV, we're hitting straight down 5:30. See you mañana. Watch on YouTube. Smart TV, YouTube. You can check us out there. Yeah, every day, 2 hours on radio. 2 hours on YouTube, The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson on YouTube. Click to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Doesn't cost a thing. You can bring the show with you. Smartphone, tablet, pad, laptop, computer, all that good stuff. Check out the show after the fact on YouTube, which you might want to do this afternoon, because in the 4 o'clock hour, former Sheriff Marlon Gussman joined us with a lot of great inside information about the jail and just glaring incompetence by the existing sheriff, Susan Hutson. So you might want to check that out. That was good stuff. Hey, also, besides Travers Mackle joining us in a second, we'll end the show, as always, a Martell Monday. Brett Martell from the Associated Press. He's been with those guys for like 28 years. Same. Not too many people. I mean, I've been in radio and television for like 30-something, but probably a dozen different stations, TV, radio, like a dozen. Brett Martell's worked for the Associated Press, essentially the same gig for 28 years. Just doesn't have, that's old school. That's like 1950s type stuff. You don't see that too often today. Today's kids, today's generation, no 2 weeks notice. Hey, can't come into work today, Corey. Have to go to my brother's party. Wow, that's the excuse, really? Wow. Old school, 28 years in the same spot. Hey, we're coming right back. Travers, Mackle, more on the jailbreak. Day 4, 7 still at large. As Jeff Landry said on Fox, there's a bounty out for those guys. A bounty, not a reward, a bounty.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Interlocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Interlocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Interlocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet, Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe. The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day. By river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live, we live to eat.
More More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. It's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
Producing tomorrow's talk radio today, Corey Johnson.
This is tomorrow's newspaper. Precisely. I already went further ahead into time to see what else happens.
Your View, Louisiana. That's Cox Channel 4 in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Lafayette. And live streaming at CoreyTalks.com.
Future. Unbelievable.
88 degrees feels like 90. If you need air conditioning help in New Orleans or Baton Rouge, just think Total Maintenance. Honest air conditioning experts that come immediately. If you need air conditioning help in New Orleans or Baton Rouge, think Total Maintenance. TM-AC.com. Total Maintenance. TM-AC.com. He did a really great job. Always does a great job. He's one of those investigative reporters working for us like a watchdog. From a media perspective, a journalistic standpoint, Travers Mackle joins us from WDSU Channel 6 News. What's up, Travers?
Not much, Corey. It's usually Fletcher who's on your show. It's a rare appearance for me, so I greatly appreciate it.
We're taking it up a level or two.
I guess so.
Hey, great job back on Friday. I was trying to explain to folks, I'm like, journalists like Travers, they don't relish in this. They don't get off on this. They don't enjoy it. It's hard. It's not fun grilling someone, but you're not out there to attack people, and you're not out there to kiss people's rear end. You're out there to do a job, a journalistic job, and you are asking the exact questions everyone wanted to ask.
Yeah, look, I appreciate you saying that, and look, you come from a family of journalists. I mean, you're right. Nobody relishes it. I mean, look, this is a terrible situation for everybody involved. I mean, you've still got 7 guys who are arrested and accused, some convicted of very violent crimes and heinous things. I mean, that's the most important thing, but everybody wants to know how it happened. I mean, look, this is a jail. I use this example, Corey. If I walked out the back door of my house in New Orleans right now, not only is the alarm going to ping and say back door open and the alarm go up, I've got a Ring camera back there. I mean, how did these things not happen at a jail? So when we went to the press conference on Friday, it was just what you said. It was not our intent to go be combative or to even be rude, but we were trying to get answers to questions that we feel that the public not only wants to know, but deserves to know. And so, I mean, there weren't a lot of answers, and that was unfortunate. And I don't think anybody was trying, at least from the media standpoint, to be combative or disruptive. But I think, and look, I don't go to a lot of press conferences. I did. I've worked here now for 22 years, but next month actually. But I used to go to a lot of press conferences. I still go to some, not as many as I used to, and I love going out and covering things. But I think when we were watching this, there were just things that were being stated that were not factually accurate, about the budget problems. Well, the current sheriff has a bigger budget than her predecessor, Marlon Gussman, and when one of them at the press conference made a comment about this wasn't built to be a maximum security or house violent offenders, that's not accurate. That facility was built exactly to house people who were charged with murder or robbery or crimes of violence. So I think those were some of the things that we kind of push back on, because sometimes people say it and nobody questions it and it becomes fact. And that's just not the case. That when the sheriff's office complains about money, it's like, look, everybody needs more money. You and I need more money. Everybody listening wants to get more money. But the sheriff's office right now has the biggest budget, arguably, that they've ever had.
The press conference, you're sort of forced in your position, I'm assuming, to be a little assertive, because there was an initial press conference like a few hours after the fact. It wasn't even a press conference. No questions allowed. It's just a statement. That's not a press conference. There's no back and forth with the media. It's just a statement. Then a few hours later, it's this one question per media member. I mean, when all these rules are applied, you got to get a little assertive. You got to get sort of pseudo-aggressive, don't you? It's not, you don't know when it's going to end. It could end in 30 seconds. So you don't get any questions asked.
Yeah, and look, and I go back to this, Corey, and look, I love where I work and I love what I do, and I have the privilege. I don't say it's a job. I have the privilege to do a lot of debates on our station. We do them every political season at 10:30. It's called the Hot Seat. We're going to do a slew this fall for the city council, mayor, sheriff, assessors races. People can watch them. They're all online right now, not to give us a plug. But what I think every candidate, including this sheriff, who, when she ran against Marlene Gussman, we did a hot seat debate in 2021 when she unseated an incumbent. Everybody says they want to be transparent. They want to be accountable to the public, and they're going to be there to answer all the questions. Well, then do it. When what we're doing is doing nothing but holding to your campaign promises. And unfortunately, she's not the only one. This is the biggest issue right now, and maybe the biggest jailbreak in the modern history of that facility. But there are so many people who preach transparency and preach accountability, but then when they get into these positions, run for cover. So, I think that what we were trying to do was, if you say you want to be transparent, well, then come out and just say, look, here's what happened. No one was watching the cameras overnight. And clearly we had failures with locks, alarm systems, guards, people watching what was going on. But when you get up there and you give this speech, and not to rehash the press conference here, but I think the first question that I asked was, hey, you said at 1 o'clock, how did nobody sound the alarm if you watched video at 1 o'clock? And it's like, well, we kind of played word gymnastics. When we said somebody was watching it at 1, what we meant was our investigation 10 hours later showed us that. No, I think that's what annoys people, your listeners, our viewers, and just the general public, is when people play word gymnastics and it turns out to be completely false.
It was crazy. 8 hours lapse before this bed check at like 8:30, cell check at 8:30 in the morning. And then for 2 hours, the sheriff apparently just panics and sits on that and doesn't say anything. So from 8:30 to 10:30, just kind of pooping in her pants and not calling the NOPD. You guys break the story at Channel 6. WDSU broke the story. You guys put a great timeline up, breaking down everything on a timeline. And what I was trying to explain to folks, twofold. One, give you guys the credit you deserve for breaking the story. Two, on your timeline, you're like 9:53 a.m. We get a tip that there was a jailbreak. 9:55, we're calling the NOPD in the jail. So it took y'all 120 seconds to do your job, 2 minutes to immediately. You hang up with the source and you're calling immediately the sheriff. This sheriff has a break at 8:30, a jailbreak, 2 hours before she calls the NOPD. So, y'all were obviously competent doing your job, and that was a big lapse. Talk about that, but also you called the sheriff at 9:55, and they denied knowing about a jailbreak that took place an hour and 25 minutes earlier, where they found, a jailbreak that took place 10 hours earlier, 9.5 hours earlier, but they knew about an hour and 25 minutes earlier and denied knowing, correct?
So we got a tip probably right around, it was 9:53. Somebody called and said, hey, you happen to believe this? So we immediately called the spokesperson, because that's the chain of command. In the media, we don't, I don't have the sheriff's cell phone number. I have some other people's numbers, but I don't have hers. So we called the spokesperson. He told one of our reporters, hold on, I got to check on this. Let me get back to you. Didn't say, yes, it happened. So I called up a high-ranking NOPD officer. I wish I could tell you who it was. Unfortunately, I can't. It was not Ann Kirkpatrick, but it is somebody who's, fairly high up. And that person was like, wait, what are you talking about? We haven't heard anything yet.
Wow.
He wasn't lying to me. Trust me.
Right.
So as they said in their press conference, well, then right before 10 is when the sheriff's office called back and said, yes, we have a jail. I think the way they framed it was, there were inmates unaccounted for at this time.
Wow.
So And then everything kind of unraveled from there. I think that's when they started calling people between 10 and 10:30, people being the NOPD, their partners at state police, the FBI. But I think what was frustrating at 11 o'clock, not just, like we just report the news, but frustrating clearly for elected officials, for police, for the partners that are out there. And for the most important thing, the public, is that they did a press conference at 11 o'clock and it was, we had a jailbreak. We're not going to tell you when, we're not going to tell you how, we're not going to tell you where, we're not going to tell you, a lot, but we'll get back to you later today. I think that, that's what frustrates people, where just give as much information as you can. Look, get the names out there, get the faces out there, get how it happened out there. I mean, in the world that we live in today, that's 24/7. And look, it's a 24/7 news world, but I mean that because every single person probably listening to your show, watching on newscast, is holding their phone right now. You get breaking news alerts. You can search stuff. You can Google things. You can look at X and Instagram and Facebook. So providing information is just so critical, because what we come back to is, look, it's a serious situation. People just broke out, but that's a neighborhood for people who are unfamiliar with this. There are people that live there. There are businesses right there. They need to know about it. So that's why I think people were very hypercritical of everything.
Any new news in the last few hours? I know I'm calling it the Hutson bill, this legislation where they now want any jailer in Louisiana to notify within 10 minutes of a jailbreak. Any other news?
That's a big development. Mandy Landry had a bill dealing with victims' rights.
Yep.
Metairie-based State Rep Debbie Villio attached some language to it. It's probably going to sail through, basically saying, hey, if anybody breaks out of a jail, the jailer, whoever that is, sheriff, private prison, you have to notify police, the public, the media immediately, no time frame.
And the victim.
A law that already exists, of course, for juvenile escapes that says you have to do it within 10 minutes. This says immediately. You have to notify everyone involved. Now, look, there's so many ways you can do that. Call, go on social media. They should be yelling and screaming, sounding every alarm possible to let people know someone broke out. That's a development. Another development, Amy Adato Freeman, the state rep from Uptown, has formally called for the sheriff to resign. Hutson responded back quickly saying, I don't plan to resign, but nonetheless, a state rep from New Orleans formally calling on the sheriff to resign.
Yeah, and a Democrat, kind of liberal too, which, is interesting. Travers, what do you guys have going on Channel 6 tonight?
Corey, we have everything going on. So we're digging deeper into, we showed that past video from the jail incident that happened back in 2013 when guys were drinking and doing drugs and had a loaded weapon in, just to kind of show the history. That was a different jail, the old house of detention. This one's new. We're kind of going through the politics of it. Jeff Landry took some shots at elected officials yesterday, rightfully upset, like a lot of people, with what's happening with the jailbreak. And then we're also going to really preview this big city council hearing tomorrow. I think the council members are upset. I think that's clear. They've made comments showing that, and kind of digging deeper into that, showing that, the sheriff had a $14 million surplus. The council gave her every nickel that she wanted. And then today, the jail's under a consent decree. We have a crew out there. Liz Merle spoke. She kind of addressed the fact that her office is going to be doing a real deep dive into what happened. The one thing we're still waiting for is the sheriff announced this, that they suspended 3 people who may have played a role in this inside job. We're still waiting on the names of those 3 people and what alleged role they may have played.
Wow. I got a little breaking news for you. I had Marlon Gussman on last hour breaking it down. He says he might run for sheriff.
Yeah. I mean, look, in light of this, Ed Shorty was already running, former Judge Julian Parker, Michelle Woodfork. You may see more people jump into this because it's an interesting position. People don't realize this. I think the Orleans Parish Sheriff, your job is to run the jail. NOPD is the chief law enforcement officer in this city, different than every other parish. There are 64 parishes. One has the sheriff that's a jailer with police as the lead law enforcement agency, New Orleans. So like in JPSO, Joe Lapinto gets elected. He's got to do public safety. His guys and girls have to be out there patrolling the streets, but he also has to run a jail. In New Orleans, if you are the sheriff, your sole responsibility is to run the jail.
Keep up the great work, Travers. Boy,
Corey, I appreciate it, man. I gotta go tape something for 6. I gotta choose not tape, be live for 6 here.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
That's Travers Mackle joining us live on the program. He did a great job on Friday. dealing with the sheriff. Corey Johnson with you. Mario, let's knock out a quick one and come right back. Why don't we do that? New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Interlocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Interlocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Interlocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Scott Craig of Katie's Restaurant.
All of my ingredients are fresh. Nothing comes out of a can here. Nothing. All of our seafood is Louisiana. All of our vegetables are Louisiana vegetables. It's a neighborhood restaurant.
Katie's in Mid-City.
Some people think paint is paint. Well, it ain't. Paint ain't paint. At Helm Paint, we only sell Benjamin Moore because it's the best paint on the planet. In the end, you'll save time, effort, and money because Benjamin Moore paints cover beautifully in less coats. So the next time you pick up a brush, remember, big box, big mistake. Because paint ain't paint. To get the best, you gotta go to Helm. Let us steer you right.
Helm Paint.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again. Ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now.
Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. Get Audubon Gutters. Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
As New Orleans as coffee in the morning and as New Orleans as coffee in the morning and raw oysters for lunch. It's Corey Johnson on the neutral ground.
Hey, paint ain't paint. Benjamin Moore, finest paint on the planet, the inventors of color paint. That's what Helm Paint and Decorating's got for you. 7 New Orleans locations, 4 in Baton Rouge. Yeah, paint ain't paint. Do it once, do it right with high quality Benjamin Moore paint. I painted my house a few years ago. Lifetime guarantee Benjamin Moore paint from Helm Paint and Decorating. When you got to paint in Metro New Orleans, when you got to paint in Metro Baton Rouge, Helm Paint and Decorating. Brett Martell joins us. Another Martell Monday. How's it going, Brett?
Going great, Corey. How are you?
Doing well. Your AP guy doing the jailbreak story. Boy, what was the word he used? I had to look it up. Whoever the local AP guy that was doing the jailbreak story, I was reading.
Jack Brooks?
It just said AP. It didn't have a name, but I'm assuming it is Jack Brooks used a lot of fancy words.
Maybe sometime.
Yeah, I literally never had heard of the word. Had to look it up. I'll try to find it before we depart. Hey, Saints schedule comes out. I predicted there'll be just one primetime game and a Thursday night, Brett. And it's one of the, the Thursday night games, sometimes like two losing teams. It's just like the NFL's desperation to throw a game out there, and fans love it and, or like it, and gamblers love it. Not even a Thursday night game, 0 primetime games. I guess you win 5 games, don't have a quarterback. That's what the folks are going to do. Coupled with Vegas, about a 5.5 over under.
Right. So it's not the greatest outlook in terms of the, outside looking in national perspective for the Saints. I think it's reasonable, to predict that. But by the same token, 2 of the greatest one-season turnarounds have occurred here, in Haslett's first year and in Peyton's first year.
Yep.
And so, I don't think people should be hopeless, right? I mean, we could be surprised. But if you just look at what's realistic, I think that's realistic. I mean, they could have a rookie quarterback who needs some work. And sometimes rookies have great years, but usually there's a learning process that can be a struggle at times. And the schedule, the first 4 games of the schedule are not easy. I mean, maybe they can compete with Arizona, but Arizona looked good at times last year. They could easily be 0-4 out of the gate.
Both those examples, and they're great examples. Haslett went and got a quarterback, the kid from Cincinnati. I forget his name.
You got Jeff Blake.
Yeah, Jeff Blake. And Blake was like, I think he was 7-4 or 8-4 when he got injured. So they were winning with Jeff Blake, and then they went with Aaron Brooks, and we never saw Jeff Blake again. And Aaron Brooks with Mike McCarthy, had some of the most prolific seasons in Saints history up to that point. Obviously, Peyton had Drew Brees coming in. This is a rookie. And by the way, I don't remember Peyton's first year, but Haslett, it was like 33 of 53 new players. 33 of 53 or 32 of 53, which is just unprecedented. It's like, 2/3 of the roster turnover, and they still won 10 games. So it can happen, but you got to get productivity out of the rookie QB, right?
Right. I mean, I think that it's just really impossible to know how he is going to perform. I just think it's based on how most rookies do. It's unreasonable to, expect with more than a 50% chance that he will have a great year, So you have to have only garden optimism with players you haven't really seen perform at this level yet. And I can go back and you can look at 2 of the worst seasons I ever saw where, Drew Brees couldn't get on the field his rookie year, and they put Peyton Manning out there his rookie year, and he led the league in interceptions. So, those are the 2 best quarterbacks in the history of the game. It's just not easy for rookies sometimes.
NBA playoffs continue, Brett. Any, it's down to 3 now, right?
What do you mean? It's the conference finals, so down to 4 teams?
Yeah. I guess 4 teams. Yeah. But it's all it's set now, right?
Yeah, I think it's compelling. Oklahoma City is looking like they're more playoff ready than they were last year. Obviously, they survived that tough second round series, and now they're going up against Minnesota. But more interesting to me is kind of the kind of throwback series of the high scoring Pacers at Madison Square Garden with Spike Lee yelling at him from the sidelines, like he wasn't Reggie Miller in the 90s. So we'll get to see that again.
Brett, always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
You got it.
That's Brett Martell from the Associated Press. Get the AP app or just Google AP News. Brett handles all the sports in the region. That's Blue Boy barking up a storm. We'll see you tomorrow. Another Real Deal with Dan Real. He's got some opinions on this jailbreak. See you tomorrow at 4.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM.